You can get gelt. They have the, and they have laptops. You're all set. You're all hooked up. Okay, so here's the deal. What is it about Chanukah that makes it so special? And we typically understand Chanukah to be a theme of light and the idea that we increase light and we're always increasing light and all that good stuff. But what is But tonight, what we're going to try to do is Tonight, what we're going to try to do is.
What are you staring at?
I'm staring at myself right now. And now they're staring at you. This is live on YouTube and on other streaming channels. Sorry, this has been a little bit of an effort. If you're still with me, we're about 9 minutes late in getting the broadcast up. But hi, if you're there. If not, hey. So getting back. So what is the theme of Chanukah? Chanukah is light. Chanukah is we increase light. It's the power of light over darkness. Tonight, let's talk about a theme that we've never talked about.
The present.
What the presence? Yeah. That we've talked about. The Gel we've talked about. The Dreidel we've talked about. The menorah we've talked about. The candles we've talked about. Tonight, really, we're going to talk about an element of Chanukah that I don't believe we've ever talked about before, certainly in this class, but I think in general, this is a very not commonly discussed idea. Let's begin by talking about the Torah readings that we read during the service. So, as many of you may be familiar with, during the prayer service, there are prayers that are recited, and then there are readings that we read from the Torah. We pull out the scrolls and point to the ark that has the scrolls. Pull out a scroll, you open it up, and you read a section. It's done 3 times a week. Monday mornings, Thursday mornings, 4 times a week. Shabbat morning, and on Shabbat afternoon. So 4 times. Twice on Shabbat, during the day and afternoon, but then on Mondays and Thursdays. Okay. So what do you read? So typically what you're reading is the weekly Torah portion. There are 53 Torah portions, and it's pretty much 1 per week. You have to double up some, depending on the year, whatever it is. You're reading 1, maybe 2 per week. And then you have the holiday readings. The holiday readings are sections that are not following the order of where you're up to in the calendar year. In other words, it's not like you just keep on going in order when the holiday comes. No, there's a special reading. You'll move the Torah, you'll read a special reading about the holiday. So for example, the holiday of Passover, what do you think you read? The Exodus. Story of the Exodus. Even though at that time of the year we're always in the book of Leviticus, we're past the Exodus. We're past, not the Exodus, but the book of Exodus. You go back to the book of Exodus to read on Passover the related passages. And on Sukkot, you read relevant passages that talk about the mitzvah of Sukkot, building a sukkah, the Lulav and Esrog. So every holiday has an associated reading. The question becomes the rabbinic holidays. The rabbinic holidays are holidays that only were created post-biblical times. There's 2 rabbinic holidays, Purim and Chanukah. They both happened after the 5 books of Moses closes. Right? After the 5 books close, then you have many years, and then you have the story of Purim, and then years later you have the story of Chanukah, and we have holidays. So what do you read during those holidays? So Purim, we figured it out. Does anybody know what we read? No. Megillah, yeah, but that's a separate reading. But we also pull out the Torah on Purim day. What do you read from the Torah? What story? What's related to Purim? Where was Haman from? Where was Haman from? What nation? The nation that we Amalek, right? You gotta get rid of Amalek. So we read about the story of Amalek, and Amalek was the nation that attacked the Jews after they got out of Egypt. So we read about the attack, and we read about the mitzvah to eradicate, to get rid of, to erase the name of Amalek, etc. Wonderful. So that's what we read on Purim, because Purim, Haman, the protagonist, antagonist, the bad guy, the villain of Purim, which is antagonist. Yeah, that makes sense. He's antagonizing. So he is from Amalek. So we read the story of Amalek. Wonderful. Chanukah, what do you read about? What's the reading on Chanukah? It's Chanukah today. So here's what you do. Here's what you do. Yeah? Here's what you do. Open up the Siddur. Let's look at it. Open up the Siddur to the reading for Chanukah. It's on page number... 389? No. It's later. Could be wrong.
Oh, that's the lesson.
Okay, here we go. It's on page 490. 490. Torah reading for Chanukah. Okay, page 490. It's in the Siddur because, you know, when you're in synagogue on the holidays, it's easier, or on Chanukah, it's easy just to use one book that has the prayers and the reading. The weekly readings are just too long to put in the back of the Siddur, so you have a separate book. But these readings are selections, fun. As you see right there in 490 in the English, it comes from the book of Numbers, chapter 7. And the book of Numbers, chapter 7, deals with what happened on the day that the Mishkan, the tabernacle, was inaugurated. This is what we read about in Chanukah. We read about the inauguration of the tabernacle, and specifically we read about the 12 tribes that were part of the inauguration process over a 12-day period. Each day, one of the 12 tribes, or more precisely, a representative from one of the 12 tribes, brought a series of offerings and gifts to the tabernacle, and that was part of the inauguration. Imagine like the grand opening of this is like, wow, this is just by way of example. The grand opening of a store, and every day for 12 days they have like giveaways and they have like promotions and whatever. So every day, not that the temple was giving away, on the contrary, people were giving to the temple, to the tabernacle. But anyway, each of the 12 tribes did something special for one of the 12 days of inauguration. Good. Let's keep the Siddur open to 490. In the meantime, I want to start with the reading in the actual Torah Studies book. So Yaakov, please read text number 1. It's right there. It comes from the Shulchan Aruch.
We read from the section that describes the offerings of the tribal princes in the portion of Nassau. 3 individuals are called up to the Torah each day. On the first day, the preamble is read by the Kohen and the Levi, and the Yisrael reads the first day of the chieftain's offering. On the second day, the Kohen reads the second day until the words "one young bull," and the Levi reads until the third day, and the Yisrael reads the following day. That is the third day. This is the procedure every day. On the 8th day, we begin reading on the 8th day and complete the entire portion, as well as the first section of the portion of Baha'alotecha, customarily concluding with the words, "So did he construct the menorah."
All right, so here we go. That's the Code of Jewish Law telling us what readings you read on the holiday of Chanukah. Now, again, that's the Code of Jewish Law. If you want to see it in action, we got the Siddur open to 490. We got it right here. So take a look. Let's do some reading. David, please read 490. Start from the beginning right there. And I'm going to tell you where to cut it. We're going to skip around a little bit. But I just want everyone to get a feel of what we're reading. And again, just to be clear, this is read every morning, not just, let me clarify. On a typical week, it's Mondays, Thursdays, and Shabbos when you pull out the Torah scrolls. On a holiday, it's every day of the holiday. So every day of Chanukah, you're pulling out a scroll and you're reading the reading for Chanukah. So there's 8 days of Chanukah. So there's 8 readings. You divide the 12 leaders through those 8 readings, as we'll see in a second. All right, you're not going to read the whole thing. You're just going to read a little bit.
And it was on the day that Moses finished setting up the tabernacle and had anointed it, sanctified it, and all its vessels, and the altar and all its vessels, and had anointed them and sanctified them. Princes of Israel, the heads of their fathers' houses, who were princes of the tribes. Those who had superintended the counting offering, and they brought their offering before the Lord, 6 covered wagons and 12 oxen. Wagon for every. You know what? Skip this because this is a general thing. Go to, I'll tell you where to skip. Go to where it says Levi. Yeah. And he who presented his offering on the first day was Nachshon, the son of Amminadab of the tribe of Judah. And this offering was 1 silver dish whose weight was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels by sanctuary weight, both filled with fine flour mixed with oil for a meal offering, 1 golden cup of 10 shekels filled with incense.
So again, this is a donation, a contribution that was given to the tabernacle. And you see there was a silver dish, a silver bowl, right? There was a golden cup. Okay, continue.
Yisrael, 1 young bullock, 1 ram, 1 lamb in its first year for a burnt offering, 1 goat for a sin offering, and for a sacrifice of peace offering, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, 5 yearling lambs. This was the offering of Nachshon, the son of God.
So that was his offering on the first day of the inauguration. Wonderful. What happens the next day? Second day. So just start reading the next reading.
On the second day, Netanel, the son of
Suar,
the prince of Yisachar, offered. He presented his offering, 1 silver dish whose weight was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels, by sanctuary weight, both filled with fine flour mixed with mixed with oil. Do I have to read this by the Hanukkah line?
You know what? That's Georgia Power. All right, continue with topic 191.
First year, burnt offering, 1 goat for sin offering, and for sacrifice of peace offering, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, 5 yearling lambs. This was the offering of Netanel, the son of
Sure. Now, if you notice, the first day's offering and the second day's offering, bless you, was the same offering. Did you notice that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Same exact offering. The first day it was Nachshon ben Aminadav from the tribe of Judah. The next day, Nesanel ben Suar from Yisachar. They're offering the same thing. This repeated itself 12 times, or repeated 11 times. 12 days of inauguration, 12 princely tribes, 12 tribal princes, bringing 12 sets of donations and offerings, the same identical one, 12 times. This we read in Chanukah. Now, there's only 8 days. So that's why we read in text 1, on the last day of Chanukah, the 8th day, you make up 8, 9, 10, 11. You just read, it's a longer reading. You just kind of knock out the rest of them, and then you read a little bit into the next Torah portion. What's the point? On Chanukah, remember, Chanukah happened after the Torah concluded, many years later. So what do you read on Chanukah? Oh, you read about the inauguration of the base of the, not the temple, you read the inauguration of the Mishkan of the tabernacle. The question is why? What's the connection? What's the connection between Chanukah and the Festival of Lights and, right, Chanukah and the dedication of the tabernacle? So what's the connection?
Well, maybe because on Chanukah we were able to go in and rededicate the.
Oh, so Chanukah is like a rededication, right, after the Greek. Let's take a look at some insights here. We have some very, very interesting texts that shed a little bit of an interesting light on the connection between the reading and the holiday. So we're going to begin by asking the following question. When did this inauguration take place? When? Specifically. When was the Mishkan, the tabernacle, completed? When did they offer these offerings? 12 days. What 12 days? When? What's the date? I'll give you a date. So let's read it inside. Mike, text 2B on page number 198 at the top. 198 at the top.
When did you,
That day.
that day marked the end of his erecting the tabernacle. It was the new moon of Nisan.
Here we go. Comes along Rashi and says, what was that day that they first put up the tabernacle and the 12 days of inauguration began? What was that day? The new moon of Nisan. What's the new moon of Nisan? First day of the month of Nisan. Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Rosh Chodesh Nisan. What year? 2449 from creation. The Exodus occurred in the year 2448 from creation, according to the Jewish count. This is a year later, because the Exodus happened the 15th day of Nisan. This is a year later, 15 days earlier. So 15 days shy of a full year. So it's the first of Nisan, 2449. The tabernacle was built, and they put it up and now 12 days of inauguration. Here's where it gets crazy. Here's where it gets interesting. So that inauguration happens the first day of Nisan. So why are we reading about it on Chanukah, which is the 25th of Kislev? There's an incredible connection. Sorry, take a look at text number 3. This is going to open up a whole new idea, a way of understanding the connection.
When the Jews erected the tabernacle, they exclaimed, "Let my beloved enter his house." For the work on the tabernacle was completed on the 25th day of Christmas. Yet it lay disassembled until the first day of Nisan.
Wait, let's understand the magnitude of what we just read. It says when they finished constructing the tabernacle on the 25th day of Kislev. You know what day that is? You know what today's day is? 25th day of Kislev. Today is tonight's the 26th already. Today was the 25th day of Kislev. It's the first day of Hanukkah. It says they built a tabernacle, the ancient tabernacle of old in the desert. The construction was completed on the 25th day of Kislev. But remember, it wasn't inaugurated until the first day of Nisan. Now, just to let you know how long that is. So Kislev, so 5 days, so 25th of Kislev, you have another 5 days till Kislev finishes. Tevet, Shavat, Adar. 3 months and 5 days. It's that. Understand what's going on? They finished building the Mishkan, the tabernacle. They finished the construction. The construction workers came to Moses and says, "We're done." What day was that? Chanukah. Before Chanukah was Chanukah, 25th day of Kislev. They didn't build it. They didn't inaugurate it and officially open up the doors until 3 months later. Continue. The Jews were saying.
But what is it that they disassembled?
Disassemble means they built all the pieces. Remember the tabernacle, it was a portable structure, which means that you had to put it up. So they built all the pieces for it, but they didn't actually put it up. The first day that it was put up was the first day of Nisan. Moshe, it says in the previous text, remember? That day marks the end of the erecting of the tabernacle. In other words, of his erecting the tabernacle. Moshe built the tabernacle, and I'm using built in 2 different ways. One second, let's be clear.
He did a prefab.
Yeah, it's like Lego.
Yeah.
Right? You got to create the pieces, and then you put the pieces together. IKEA furniture, even better. Like, even better. IKEA, we were living in New York in Brooklyn, and we bought such a cool thing, like a bookcase. It has all these little squares, it's a thing, and it's just squares. It's like, oh, this will be so cool and modern and hip. Ooh, fantastic. Bring it home, lay it out, and there were literally 1,000. No, probably 25,000. I'm not sure. No hyperbole. Little pegs. You have to knock in just so, not too far out, not too far in, halfway, so that you can. It stays in, and then it holds the shelf, and oh, gotta be kidding me. And then you have to put everything, and then you have to knock on the sides, and you hope that, and then it's crooked. The whole thing is and you're like, I'm like, Leah, that looks great. She's like, yeah, that looks awesome. That's fantastic. No, not so good. Yeah, much better. It was just, anyway, yeah, so IKEA. So there's one thing to put together all the
stated, on the day of the first month, on the first of the month, you shall set up the tabernacle of the tent of meeting. The entire time it lay disassembled, the Jews were murmuring about Moses. Why didn't he erect it immediately? Perhaps something went wrong. Moses, however, intended to combine the joy with the month in which Isaac was born, the month of Nisan. But now, he slept the month when the tabernacle was really completed, lost out. Now it was paid back. How? God said, I will pay it back with the rededication by the Hashmonaim.
You see what's going on here? Now we have the answer to both of our questions. Number one, why did they build, why was the construction finished, but it just sat there for 3 months? Because Moshe said he wants to wait till an auspicious month in order to put up the Mishkan. What's the auspicious month? Nisan. Why is it auspicious? Well, the Exodus happened, but that's not the reason it's given. The reason it's given is because that's the month when Isaac was born, Yitzchak. So what's the connection to Yitzchak, Isaac, and the tabernacle? Well, perhaps we can say that Yitzchak, Isaac, represents the idea of service. The idea of digging wells, like inner service. It's called avodah. Avodah, service. And the whole Mishkan was a place where they did service. Avodah. The sacrifices, it's all inner work. It's all working with your inner animal. And that inner work is symbolic of the avodah, of the service of Yitzchak. Yitzchak he wasn't like Abraham was like, he was outgoing and he was, spreading the love and everything. But Yitzchak was more internal, more working on himself, more of the avodah, from below to above. And that is the energy of the Mishkan, of the tabernacle. Also, a man's quest to connect with God and elevating the animal as an offering, not only the external animal that goes back, but the internal animal that goes, in our own way inside. So the idea is to elevate the animal, and that's the avodah, that's the service symbolic of Yitzchak. So it could be that that's why, definitely the Midrash says, definitely the Midrash says that, Midrash, that Moshe waited until the month of Nisan because that's when Yitzchak is born. Fine, so that's our answer. We had another question though. So if it wasn't put up and it wasn't dedicated until 3 months later, so why are we reading about Chanukah, the offerings that were given then, that were offered then? The answer is because Kislev complained. I'm like embellishing this a little bit. Kislev complained, and Kislev said, "What's going on? We're lost out. The Mishkan is built, the Mishkan is constructed, the tabernacle is built, and there's no celebration. What's up with that?" So the answer that God said is, don't worry, later on in history, you'll have your own celebration. The celebration will be not the building of the Mishkan, not the building of the tabernacle, but the rededication of the temple later on in history. The rededication of the temple is going to be on the day of Chanukah. Why is it the rededication? Take a look at text number 6. Take a look at text number 6. Debbie, yeah?
The name Hanukkah is in recognition of the fact that the temple was dedicated and prepared for the service. The Greeks had defiled the temple, the courtyard, and all of the holy vessels. When the
Hashmonaim
prevailed, they purified it all and held a dedication as Moses did when he first inaugurated the tabernacle and its vessels for service.
Basically, what happened was the Syrian Greeks overran the temple. They came in, and we all know about the oil. Oh, they couldn't find oil. It was worse than that. I don't know if you know this, but they basically either destroyed or stole all of the vessels that they could get their hands on. In fact, when they came back in, when the Jews came back in, there was no menorah. You know this? There was no menorah. You think the oil was a problem? They didn't have a menorah. But they were able to build one out of wood. They had a gold menorah. We think the Greeks came in, they're like, oh, such beautiful stuff, let's just leave it. They plundered it. They stole it. There was no menorah left. They had to build a new menorah. But then they needed the oil. So we hear about the oil, but they ransacked it. So the Jews came in. Once they pushed back the Greeks, the Syrian Greeks, they came back in, and now it was time to rededicate the Beis HaMikdash, the temple. They had to clean it up, and you have to understand, during the interim, while they were fighting the battle, the Greeks, the Syrian Greek army, was in control of the temple. That means there was no service. They couldn't offer the offering. So after post-Chanukah victory, they rededicated the temple, the Beis HaMikdash, the Holy Temple. They rededicated it as a place for offerings. They rededicated the altar. They rededicated the menorah. They rededicated it. When did it happen? On the same day that the Mishkan was built years earlier, and it had never been a day of celebration. Years later, it was now the day of rededication. So the 25th day of Kislev finally got its but finally got its day recognition as being the day that the temple was completed. Not the tabernacle of old, because that was completed then, but it was pushed off a little bit. But the temple was rededicated on that day, and God says that's going to be that's what we're going to give you. Chanukah. What do we see? Chanukah is similar to the first of Nisan, right? Just like the first of Nisan by the tabernacle was the day that they began the offerings in the tabernacle, and the 12 tribes brought the offerings. The 25th day of Kislev was when they re-inaugurated the Holy Temple, and therefore it's appropriate to read the readings of the first of Nisan of the tabernacle on the 25th day of Kislev of Chanukah. Make sense? So therefore, we now have a reason. Just like the temple was, just like the Mishkan, the tabernacle was dedicated on the first of Nisan, the Holy Temple was rededicated on the 20th day of Kislev on Chanukah, and that's why we read the reading of the 12 tribes, the 12 princes of each tribe. Okay.
So they both had to do with beginning the service.
Beginning the service. Just like in the times of the desert, the wilderness, the tabernacle. They began the service and had 12 days of inauguration. So too, later on in history, the story of Chanukah, they recaptured the temple. They got back the temple. They rededicated it. So they didn't have 12 days of inauguration, but we read about the 12 days of inauguration because in a sense, Chanukah is also a rededication, reinauguration of the holy space of the temple. Right. So now we have our connection. Good. So that's the reading. However, there's much more that lies beneath the surface, as we know. That's the simple reason. But there's much more that's beneath the surface. To uncover what's beneath the surface, in other words, what is the message of the offering of these leaders every single day, 12 times? What connection is there, conceptual connection? The connection is their book rededication, and it got its payment back for being taken away from the celebration years earlier. Wonderful. But what conceptual, what spiritual, what essential connection is there between the two ideas? To understand this, we need to look at one particular tribal offering, text 7a. Text 7a, it's a very short one, and it raises a question.
On the seventh day, the chieftain was of the sons of Ephraim, Elishama, the son of Amihud.
So here we go. The seventh day, we have an offering. Now, what's the problem with that? What's the seventh day? Shabbat. Now, we don't really know that seventh day was Shabbat, because how do we know what day the first day would have been a Shabbat as well? You know what the question is? Here's the question. How for an animal, without getting into the gory details, but they really can't do on Shabbat. Now you're wondering, well, wait, they didn't do any service on Shabbat? They did. Of course they did. They did it. We read about it in the prayers. The Muslims, they did a regular service, or offering, and a Muslim. There's a difference. Both them. The rules with Shabbat. You could only bring a communal offering on Shabbat or Yom Tov, holidays. Shabbat or holidays, you could only bring a communal offering. A private offering, you weren't allowed to bring. Let me explain. There were certain offerings that were offered on behalf of everybody. And who paid for it? Everybody. Everyone donated a little bit of money beginning of the year, and they pooled the money together, and every day they brought offerings on behalf of the entire nation. So wonderful. Those offerings happen every single day, without exception, including Shabbos, Shabbat, including Yom Tov, including holidays. No exception. Why? Because the Torah says this is what you should do every single day, and Shabbos as well. So therefore, a communal offering is brought even on the holidays, even on Shabbat. It's not subject to the laws of Shabbat. But a private offering. If somebody says, "Oh, I want to bring an offering of Thanksgiving, 6 days a week," knock yourself out. Shabbos, not on Shabbos. Yeah, I want to bring an atonement offering. I messed up. I did something wrong. Let me bring an atonement offering. Wonderful. 6 days a week, not Shabbat or holiday. I want to bring if I could bring an offering, but not on Shabbat. The communal offering, yes, on Shabbat. Here comes the question. Question is, were these offerings individual offerings or communal offerings? When I say these, the 12 offerings of the 12 days of inauguration of the tabernacle, the Mishkan in the desert, first day of Nisan through the 12th day of Nisan. 12 tribal leaders brought offerings every single day. And now we know that somebody brought it on the 7th day. So if somebody brought it on Shabbos, the question is, wait a second, how can they bring it on Shabbos? Well, it's going to depend on whether it's considered to be an individual offering or a communal offering. So let's take a look. Continue, please. This is 7b. Continue. Read the Ibn Ezra on the verse in Numbers. Take a look what he says.
On the 7th day, some suggest that he offered the sacrifice as per a one-time directive by Moses.
You see, he answers the question right there. He answers the question without asking the question. Look what he says. Some suggest that offering was on Shabbat. In other words, it's the 7th day, and the 7th day means Shabbat. So how could he do it? Nachshon, what was his name? Elishama ben Amihud. Elishama. How could he bring an offering? He's a private person. How can he bring an offering on Shabbat? So some say it was a one-time directive by Moses, or by God through Moses. In other words, this is an exception to the rule. Straight up an exception to the rule. Typically, you can't bring a private offering on Shabbos. This was the exception. Continue. Others suggest.
Others suggest that it refers to the 7th day of the inauguration festival, arguing that the beginning of the celebration was not on Sunday. This, however, does not resolve the issue, as it is impossible that there would be no Shabbat within the 12 days.
Right. Obviously, we have 12 days in a row, and there's no indication from the Torah's narrative that they took a break in the days. It's on the first day, on the second day, on the third day, and it keeps on going through day 12. It doesn't say, oh, they skipped a day and then they resumed the count. We don't say that. It says 12 days in a row. There was obviously at least one Shabbat in the 12 days, maybe even two. If so, how did they bring the offering? So he answers, again, in the first paragraph, it was per a one-time directive, which in the Hebrew is called Horat Sha'ah. It's a directive that is temporary. It was a one-time deal. In other words, they broke the rules. But they broke the rules per an instruction. So again, what are the rules? I just want to make sure everyone's got the rules clear. The rules are like this. On Shabbat and festivals, you cannot bring a private offering. A communal offering, yes, but a private offering, not. So how could he bring an offering? Oh, it was a one-time exception. Okay. Take a look.
Question.
Yes.
Why is it not communal offering?
So, we're about to get to that question.
You said
We're about to. You see from his question, you're asking a key question, but you see from his question that he's not considering. He's saying, how could it be? So some say it was a harat shah, it was an exception. Why doesn't he just say that it was a communal offering? It must be that he's not considering it to be a communal offering. Therefore, you have to give the answer that it's an exception, because if it's a communal offering, there's no question to begin with. So, okay, but we're going to see it's not so simple. We're going to see it's not so simple.
So that was my question, because these were the princes of the tribe. Would it not be on behalf of the whole tribe? But at that point,
that's the key question. So before we get there, let's read a few more texts. No. This is going to be the key question, and it's going to bring out an incredible kind of message. I'm going to read text 8a. Look to me. Take a look. This is what the Medrash says. The day on which the chieftains commenced their offerings was Sunday. Oh, there you go. It's clear. This means that the 7th day was Shabbos. Do not say, how could the chieftains have desecrated the Shabbos? Is it not forbidden to offer an individual sacrifice on Shabbos? God said, right? So how could they have offered? Right, who is this guy? Elishama. God, who's this great fellow? Elishama ben Amihud. How could he offer on Shabbos? It's forbidden to offer an individual sacrifice. Again, the premise of the question is, it's an individual offering. So God said, they acted upon my word. God says, no. If you have any problems, come to me. I gave the instructions. For I told Moses, a chieftain per day shall offer a sacrifice. The inauguration of the altar. They should be offered without any break. I was the one that superseded my own Shabbos. I gave you the laws of Shabbos, including the fact that you're not supposed to offer an individual offering. An individual should not bring a sacrifice, a carbon, an offering on Shabbos. Yeah, but the same one that forbade it also said this is an exception. It's a one-time exception in history because we're inaugurating this temple, this tabernacle, and so 12 days in a row, just do it. The premise is, even though it's an individual offering. Take a look at 8b. I'll read this as well. An individual sacrifice never supersedes the Shabbat. Yet in this instance, it did. You see, it's referring to it as an individual sacrifice. From this, we understand how precious the sacrifices of the chieftains were to God. God loved these so much that He said, "Don't stop, keep it going through Shabbat. Make it happen. Exception, we'll suspend Shabbat." Not so simple. Not so simple. I'll tell you why it's not so simple. Before we get there, let's read something else. Let's read text 12a. This is the way the Rebbe phrased it. We're going to get back to the other ones. Don't worry. We're going to get back to those texts. I just want to do it in a more linear order. I don't know why they wrote it differently. Text 12a. Yaakov, take it away, please.
Although generally an individual sacrifice may not be offered on Shabbat, there was a hara'at sha'ah, a special directive by God which supersedes standard Torah law. In this instance, that the chieftain of the tribe of Ephraim should offer his sacrifice on Shabbat.
So that's typically the way everyone understands it. How could they have brought the sacrifice on Shabbat, even though they're an individual? Right? He was the answer is because God said so. And the same God that said don't, typically said now I'm suspending the law. Wonderful. It's another way to look at it. The Rebbe says there's another way. The Lubavitcher Rebbe says there's another way to look at it. Not that it was an individual offering and you had to supersede the law and you had to break the law one time, but rather it was a communal offering.
For the tribe.
But wait, it's complicated. It's not so simple. Because the text 9 is the key text. It's Rashi. Take a look at Rashi, text number 9. We're going back. Text number 9, Rashi deals with the question of was it a private offering or a tribal offering? Was it individual or communal? Take it away, David.
Nachshon ben Amminadab of the tribe of Judah. Scripture traces his lineage to this tribe, but not that he collected the offering from the members of his tribe and then offered it up.
You see what he's asking? The animals, the bowls, the silver, the gold. Where did he get it from? The flour, the incense. Who paid for it? Did he collect it from the tribe? Or did he pony up the cash from his own pocket? Simple question. Where did it come from? It came from Nachshon, the son of Aminadab, from the tribe of Judah. Here's the question. Did it come from Nachshon or from the tribe of Judah? Continue. So one option is that it came from him, or perhaps
Says of the tribe of Judah to teach that he indeed collected the offering from the members of his tribe and then brought it.
Rashi asks a simple question. Which one is it? It says that he brought the offering, so did he pay for it? But it also says he of the tribe of Judah. Did the tribe of Judah pay for it? We're getting a mixed message. Nachshon ben Amminadab from the tribe of Judah. Well, who paid for it? Was it him or the tribe? Was it individual or communal? Here we go.
Scripture therefore states this was the offering of Nachshon, the son of Amminadab, to teach us that he brought it from his own resources.
Let me explain. If you notice, back in the Siddur, it says, on the first day, Nachshon ben Amminadab of the tribe of Judah brought the offering, and here's the offering, and then at the end, it sandwiches it again. And it says, all of this was the offering of Nachshon, the son of Amminadab. It doesn't repeat the fact that it was from the tribe of Judah. If you want, look in the Siddur, page 490, right? Look back at 490, and you'll notice, right, 490, the Levi paragraph, third paragraph from the bottom, it says, who did it the first day? Nachshon ben Amminadab of the tribe of Judah. The end of the next paragraph says, this was the offering of Nachshon, the son of Aminadab. You see that? In other words, the conclusion of it doesn't repeat the tribal association. It just says, Zeh Karban Nachshon ben Aminadab. This was the offering of Nachshon, which Rashi says definitively tells us that it was not a communal offering. It was an individual offering. Rashi says, who paid for it? Nachshon paid for it. Why was he called Nachshon, the son of Aminadab? No, Nachshon ben Aminadab from the tribe of Judah? Because that's his tribe. But it's just a tribal association, but it's not really that he brought it from the tribe in itself. Okay.
So it's an honor for him to represent his tribe, but he did it himself.
Not even representing his tribe.
So the question
That's
is,
the
is it
other
represent? Oh, the question is it representing? The question is it representing or not? So here we come to another teaching from Rashi. Yeah. So we didn't do that yet. Take a look at text number 10. Text number 10 comes from the mystical book of Tanya, Kabbalah and Hasidic philosophy. And here the author of Tanya explains what the nature of the relationship is between the leader and his people. Take a look, text number 10, Mike.
In every generation, there are leaders of the Jews whose souls are in the category of head and brain, in comparison with those of the masses and the ignorant. Inasmuch as the nurture and life of the nefesh, ruach, and neshama of the ignorant are drawn from the nefesh, ruach, and neshama of the sages, the heads of Israel in their generation.
We got some saints mentioned here.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. We love her. Saints. Okay. So, Norman.
They'll be sinners for the next week.
They will be. All right. Text number 10, especially if you're a Falcon.
Yeah.
All right. So text number 10, what does the author ever write in Tanya? He says like this. Wait a second. There's different types of souls. You have souls, and then you have leader souls. Those are head souls. What's the head soul? Soul is different. A head soul, like a head of a body. Every limb is valuable, and it all has energy from the soul. But the head, the head more than any other part is involved in everything else. Everything goes through the consciousness. The hand, the foot, everything goes through the head. So the leader, you know what that means? That means that the leader never has a private offering. It's not possible. You with me? Because he's the leader. You with me? The leader, no matter what he tries, even if it's coming from his own pocket, you with me? It's not a private offering. You understand? Rashi asked the question, who paid for it? Was it his tribe? Because it says he was at the tribe of Judah. Or did he pay for it? Because it says his name. And Rashi says he paid for it. So we're saying, so it must have been an individual offering. And now we're saying, if you're a leader, you're by default connected with your community, with the people, with the congregation. You're not a private citizen anymore. You're not a private citizen. There's no such thing as a private citizen. You're a neshama kol, you're a general soul, you're a head soul. Sounds like a head case. You're a head soul. Head soul. You're a head soul, you're not a private soul. There's nothing that you can do as private. Take a look at text number 11. Sorry, take it away. This is Rashi, not even mysticism. Rashi, simple stuff.
The leader of the generation is seen as the entire generation, because the leader is everything.
And this leads the Rebbe to come up with this beautiful interpretation of how which tribe was it that brought it on Shabbos? Zevulun. No, Ephraim. How did Ephraim bring it on Shabbos? Here we have 12b. 12b. Cece, take it away.
12B?
Yeah, 12b.
Okay. A second way of understanding is that the sacrifice was funded with personal money, being that Scripture attributed it to the entire nation, and especially considering the fact that the leader is everything. It was rendered as a communal sacrifice. As such, it is like any other communal sacrifice that supersedes the Shabbat.
There you go. And that's the answer that the Rebbe gives, the second answer. You could say that it remained an individual offering and there was a temporary suspension of Shabbos. We broke the rules, but God said break the rules, so we were allowed to break the rules. The second answer is there were no rules being broken. Why? Because even though we've established that Nachshon and all of the tribal princes, they footed the bill, every day, each one for their own offering. It was their private offering. There's nothing private when it comes to the week. There's nothing private. You know, there was a story fascinating in the history of Chabad, Lubavitch. So there's this incredible library in Crown Heights. One of the most valuable collections of Jewish books in the world today. Maybe even the most. Rare, old, historic, valuable Jewish books. Like the Siddur, the Baal Shem Tov, for example. Just like crazy stuff. And it's a collection of books that the Rebbes, the Chabad Rebbes, the Chabad leaders, collected and passed down generation to generation. It was in the 80s. And the librarians noticed that some of the books were missing. So they installed video cameras, closed circuit TV. They installed video surveillance, and they watched. And they saw a relative, a grandson of the previous Rebbe, taking books. He had access. He was taking books and selling them.
Selling was selling.
To make some money. So they took him to court. Stealing books. And he said, my grandfather's library. The previous Rebbe brought it over from Russia, from Poland. It's my grandfather's library. I'm a grandson. I'm an heir. It went to the courts.
What, American or Jewish?
He refused to go to Jewish courts, so it went to the secular courts. And the judge ruled as follows. And it came down to just incredible testimony. The Rebbe's wife, who was the daughter, and there were two sisters, and this was one sister's grandson, and then the Rebbe and his wife. So the Rebbe's wife, the Rebbetzin, Chanukah, she did deposition, and she basically said, to the extent that my father, the previous Rebbe, my father doesn't have any heirs. What does that mean? Because he's a Rebbe. He's a leader. And a Rebbe is all about the Chassidim, it's all about the community. So there's no concept of, oh, the library belongs to a private individual, and therefore the private grandson should have a stake in it. It belongs to everybody. So you can't just privately take it and sell it. It belongs to a leader. It's not a private individual. That's the point. A leader ceases to be a private citizen. It's not possible. Even when the leader foots the bill himself, it's on behalf of the people. That's what the Rebbe is saying here with text 12. That even though the leaders, the 12 leaders, they purchased the sacrifices and the silver and the gold, and they put it, and they brought it themselves. So it seems like an individual offering. So how could they do it on Shabbos? Because of a communal offering. If the leader brought it, whatever. It's in the library for everyone to have access.
Okay, so did they get the book?
Of course they got the books. Yeah, without a doubt. Anyway, by the way, if you go to Crown Heights, you can take a tour of the library. Awesome. It's incredible. Okay, so getting back to the story. So what's the message? What's the Chanukah message? There's a philosophical debate whether human beings are private people or whether we're social creatures. And the truth is, it depends on who you ask. You know, some people like their quiet time. They don't like socializing. Some people love to socialize. Everyone's got a different. Some people, depends on the day. Today I want to be quiet, right? I don't want to go out. I don't want to go out there. I don't want to see anybody. Rather just stay in bed, with my fuzzy slippers, sipping some hot chocolate. It sounds really nice right now. Sipping some hot chocolate by a fireplace. There's a fireplace, not hot chocolate, but whatever, we can make it work. So some days you just want to stay home. Some days, you want to socialize. It's wonderful. But what is the human? The Torah says, by the creation of Adam, what happened after Adam? What did God say? Before Eve? Not good for man to be alone. Right? Therefore, let's create TV. Okay. Not good for man to be alone. Let's create a helpmate opposite of Eve. Sports, yeah, ESPN, done. And Adam was happy. That's all he needed. Sports highlights. Right. So you need interaction, and the philosophers, the great philosophers, Aristotle and Locke, and all the great philosophers over the years have said that, you know, as human beings, we don't stand a chance by ourselves. Who could, on their own, without the structure of society, provide everything for themselves? The rare individual, food, clothing, shelter, safety, and on our own, are good things. So number one, societies that we plug ourselves into are healthy. Because we're all in society. We have to make sure that our immediate society, our surroundings, are healthy surroundings. That we surround ourselves with positive people, with, you know, with an optimistic environment, healthy spiritual environments, and not toxic. You know what a toxic environment is, right? You walk in there, and you're like, oh yeah. You walk in and you're like, oh my gosh, you feel like the energy drain. You walk in and it's almost like somebody's there with a syringe just pulling all the life out of you. Like, oh no, don't. Leave a little bit. I need a little bit to get through the day. But like, huh? No, I'm just saying based on what I've heard. So no, I mean, it's because, you know, you have this, and certain people are energy drainers, and like, you know, they're like, vampires. It's suck your blood.
Emotional groupies.
Groupies, right? Band-aids, whatever it is. You know, there's different types of. So the reality is, there's different types of people, and it's not that we're not like disparaging. God forbid, it's not about disparaging. The point is that since we do need each other. We do need a social context. We're by ourselves. You can't survive by yourself. Even if you say, "Oh, I'll stay at home." Yeah. How do you have a home? Who built your home? Who's protecting your cities? You have a society around you. You're not alone. No one's alone, right? So even the guy that's alone is protected by the laws that he or she didn't create. So it's not, anyway, the point is,
Can't invade his privacy.
Anyway, the point is that we're all part of a social circle, social network, and I don't mean Facebook. And the reality is that we have to ensure, lesson number one, ensure that it's a healthy environment. Number two is the more direct connection and the more powerful message, in my opinion. That is, like, each of us can be like the Nasi, like the tribal leader. Even though we said from Tanya that it's only the rare individual that has like a leadership soul that is really connected with everybody, but on a smaller sense, since we are all social creatures, we all are connected to each other. And therefore we have to realize the following, that everything we do affects others. Sometimes we say to ourselves, what does it make a difference? If I don't do what I should be doing, no one knows about it. Who's it going to bother? No one. I can do what I want. As long as I'm not harming you, impinging on you, as long as that's what U.S. law says, as long as at the point where you're infringing on somebody else's rights, then it becomes a problem. But until that point, do whatever you want. As long as you're not breaking the law, no problem. Whatever. Judaism says, wait a second, there's no such thing. I know, again, it was the context of the leaders who were specific individuals, but now we're broadening it to everybody because we're all social. The point is that everything that we all do as private individuals has an effect on the community, has an effect on society, has an effect on the world. You know, the butterfly effect. A butterfly flapping its small little wings, you know, in one part of the world can create a tsunami, although that example was always before the tsunami actually, or the one a few years ago, really devastated. It's not a friendly example, but anyway, a butterfly flapping its wings can create just incredible waves across the world and unleash power. And the idea is that each of us, we have to realize that we're not just small individuals. We're not just private systems. So it works for the negative and the positive. For the negative, just be careful. It's not like, it's not affecting anybody. It affects the world. And the positive is more powerful than the negative. The positive is, can you imagine the effect of our little mitzvah, private mitzvah that no one knows about? You do a little mitzvah, you help someone out, and no one's going to know about it. Maybe you help somebody out and they don't even know about it. You're responsible to do that, right? You help someone out, they don't know about it. You don't tell them, oh, by the way, do you know who did that? And that was me. No, you let it go. Let it go. You helped them out. That little thing that you did that no one knows about, not even the person maybe, that little thing can change the world. And that thing helps others. I want to end with this statement, with this story. With this story. The story goes that there was once a rabbi who was getting on in years. He was an elderly man, and his health was fading. And he still kept his grueling schedule. He would wake up very early in the morning, go to the synagogue and learn all day, and just whatever his schedule was, like many, many hours, he kept his schedule absolutely intact. And so his family, maybe his students, they asked him, hey, maybe cut it back a little bit. He said, because if I cut back on my schedule, my daily schedule, and the fellow who may go to shul every single day of the week may go one day less. And then the fellow who goes once a week on Shabbos may take off a Shabbos. And the fellow who goes once a month may take off a month. And then the fellow who comes once a year may take that. In other words, the reality is that everything that we do, if we weaken, others say, he's weakened, I can also take a day off, I can also skip something. It has an effect. Everything that we do has an effect. So this is the message of Chanukah. The message of Chanukah is very simply, we're all a shamish, right? Remember, we lit the candle before? The shamish was over here. Right? I think, right? It was over here. The shamish is a candle that represents the association with others. I don't exist only for my own light. I don't exist only for my own brightness. But I know that what I do and who I am affects others. And the shamish says, I'm going to affect you and you and you. And the truth is, we do that even without overtly touching the other. Everything that we do, even like the tribal prince, even in our own private way, with our own money and our own sacrifice, affected the whole tribe. It was a communal offering. Everything that we do privately as private citizens affects everyone else. So we should be inspired in a positive way, not the negative way, ooh, don't do anything, but in a positive way to do more good privately, knowing that that is going to have a tremendous ripple effect of good in the world. And please God, our cumulative efforts in bringing light into the world will finally tip the scales and bring the redemption, maybe speedily in our days, let us say. And that's a compliment.
You know what that reminds me of? The thing that's going on with Martin King and his children.
Yeah.
So they have all of his books and his Nobel Prize and all of his things.
And they're selling it?
Some of them weren't selling, others absolutely not. There was a sister and two brothers who I actually met. I grew up with them. And they're going to court this week.
There you go.
To determine
who has the right.
Who has the right, what needs to stay in the King's Center, what can be sold. But, here's
Martin Luther King Jr.'s, what is it? The
books,
Nobel
memorabilia, Nobel Prize.
Some of the kids want to sell it. Similar story here. And others are saying, no, we got to preserve it for the cause.
Here's a leader, here's a head.
Yeah.
Same type of thing as your rabbi.
That's a story, right. Yeah.
And,
But keep tabs on it. Let's know what how that turns out, because that's very interesting.
That is very interesting.
US
But
law.
I think State Supreme Court, I think the Supreme Court went ahead and said a rebbe is not